And I honestly did it because I wanted to push myself. I know that Teo is a tremendous fighter. I know he's on an extremely high level. And I feel like, well, I know that I can beat him, but I know that this should be a tough session, so I'm ready.
With one of the biggest fights in boxing on the horizon, Shakur Stevenson isn't backing away from the challenge. He said he is fully aware of what's at stake. Shakur said it's a calculated move against an elite opponent, a fight he chose to test himself and prove exactly where he stands among the best in the world.
I chose this for that reason. Like, I chose this because I wanted to challenge myself. I wanted to put myself in a situation to where I'm able to raise my game up to another level. So that was my whole purpose. But do I gotta be dominant? I think every fight that I set up, I want to be dominant. I don't care who in front of me. I want to dominate. I want to beat you to where judges don't feel like they can rob me. So I always got that feeling. I always got that chip on my shoulder.
If you do win this fight, what do you think it does for your career?
I think it put me top 5 pound for pound. I think it puts me like one of the best fighters in my era.
Shakur knows how tough his opponent is. He even called Lopez a far superior, talented, and dangerous fighter than Conor Benn. In a pre-fight interview, Stevenson said that he has great admiration for Lopez's skill set, power, and experience, which is why he is treating this fight as an ultimate test against one of the elite athletes at 135 pounds.
Like, I know what I'm dealing with. I know, like I said, I don't know Teo since a kid, so I know that he's tough. I know that he's strong. He's fast. I know that his boxing IQ is very high. He's a good fighter, so you can't just say who's next, because even with me even talking about the Conor Benn situation, I say, oh, I'll fight Conor Benn next, but truthfully, I know that Teo is a better fighter than Conor Benn, so how I'm gonna look past somebody that's a better fighter to go fight a fighter that's the worst fighter. So,
adding on some brutal predictions by boxing pros, renowned fighter Lamont Roach weighed in on the highly anticipated showdown between Shakur Stevenson and Teofimo Lopez, admitting that it might be a little challenging for both fighters. As an expert in boxing who knows it inside and out, Roach stated both fighters possess skill, quickness, and power, and therefore he expects the fight to be very competitive and balanced. Roach appears to be leaning towards Stevenson as the winner, but Teofimo has enough power to force a true championship bout.
I think Shakur beats Teo.
You think Shakur beats Teo quickly, fast? Is it something easy? Is it going to be a decision?
It might be a little challenging. But I don't really see it like being too challenging for him.
The fighter who controls the pace will likely win. However, Coach Bredman sees Shakur Stevenson versus Teofimo Lopez as a 50-50 fight. He says that Shakur's agility and ability to counterpunch force much more difficulty on his opponent's scoring than it would if they fought a normal fighter. Teofimo, on the other hand, doesn't shy away from pressure, and he will put Shakur under pressure to force Shakur to execute to stay alive through all the action. Therefore, both fighters are at their peaks. This is one of the most exciting fights to watch.
That's a great fight. Shakur is the truth and Teofimo is the truth. I would suspect that Shakur might be a slight favorite, but man, that's pretty much an even fight in my opinion. You know, Teofimo's biggest moments have come against Southpaws, Loma and Josh Taylor. And he's a guy that fights really, really well in these circumstances. You know, he has a little bit of a clutch thing about him where he will fight up to the guy that he's in front of. He doesn't handle boxers too well, but I can see Teofimo trying to make Shakur come to him.
Meanwhile, British professional boxer Ben Whittaker has praised both men. First, he said Teofimo Lopez is athletic, explosive, and very dangerous, especially from unusual angles. Ultimately, he favors Shakur Stevenson because he believes that Stevenson can slow down the pace of the bout and use superior ring craft to break down his opponents. However, Whittaker also stressed that this is an excellent matchup of two young fighters in their prime and predicts that it will be a great fight happening on January 31st.
Teofimo Lopez versus Shakur Stevenson.
I like both guys, honestly. I like both guys. Teofimo, he's funny, he's got character, but he's a great fighter. He's very athletic. He comes from awkward angles, and I do like his style. But I study boxing, I watch boxing. I do like Shakur's style. The way he breaks his opponents down, he slows it down to his pace. He's got good distance. If you got to pick someone, I'm going Shakur. But it's a great fight. They're both young, both in their prime, and it's the fights we need now.
Zab Judah called this a highly competitive showdown, warning fans to expect an action-packed night. Both fighters are skilled, strong, and relentless, promising no easy rounds, just pure elite boxing at its finest.
You got two dog fighters that's coming in there to solidify themselves as the game changer. Teo's not gonna lay down. Shakur is not gonna lay down. It's gonna be skill versus skill. Teo's a very talented, skillful fighter. Shakur is a very extremely talented, skillful fighter. And yes, we're gonna see a hell of a great chess match that night.
Meanwhile, boxing coach Bernard "Bernie" Davis is exceptionally supportive of Shakur Stevenson for this battle, believing he is the more accomplished and polished stand-up player and providing a 60-40 chance in favor of Stevenson against Teofimo Lopez. Furthermore, Bernie foresees this bout allowing Shakur to immortalize himself amongst some of the best, including Devin Haney and other pound-for-pound greats.
I say Shakur could be #1 based off, you know what I mean, how he can nullify you and how he can just win. You really can't put a, but far as entertainment value, far as putting I mean, Bam throws every punch in the book. He don't just rely on one punch. He throws everything, you know? So he does so many different facets that you could say pound for pound. You know what I'm saying? Far as a skill set, which is what a Crawford brings, which what a Floyd brings. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I can see him being pounded.
DJ Zamora, Shakur's sparring partner, praised him as a master technician with incredible ring awareness, always knowing how to handle any opponent. But he warned Teofimo's performance on fight night will ultimately determine how tough this battle will be for Shakur.
That's going to be a great fight. You know, you got Shakur going up in weight, but at the same time, he's a master at his craft. He knows his range real well. Every time I've gotten in the ring with him, you know, he's lights out. Like, you know, at the end of the day, Teofimo, he's a great fighter as well. You know, depending on what version of him comes in the ring, you know, it's going to be a great fight. I believe Teofimo can present a lot of challenges for Shakur. But the same thing the other way around as well. I feel like, you know, Shakur can present a lot of challenges for Teofimo, you know, being a master at his range, you know, being very accurate for the shots. So it's a toss-up fight for me, but, you know, I think I would have to lean towards Shakur.
Boxing analyst Punch Drunk supports Teofimo winning this match simply based on his combination of insane speed, incredible strength, superior athletic ability, and experience fighting big fights. Punch Drunk believes that Teofimo thrives under pressure, even more so against top-tier fighters. The atmosphere, the energy, and the moment will unleash an even more explosive version of Teofimo than we have seen before.
I'm going to ask you something that we don't know, bro.
Talk to me, my brother.
Who you got?
The takeover. The takeover 2.0, man.
Do you have a reason for it, though?
Man, I think that experience, that's one. Speed, power, athleticism. We all know what's the narrative. That when he's facing a pound-for-pound fighter, an elite fighter, he shows up.
Okay.
So the lights is bright. New York City, Madison Square Garden. I think it's going to be a great fight. It's going to be a great fight.
I like your reasoning, bro.
Sean Porter agrees with Keith Cullen's assessment that Shakur may have a slight edge. Porter agrees that Shakur's natural boxing IQ gives him the ability to read his opponents and to throw punches with pinpoint accuracy, and that if Shakur can control the timing and rhythm, he can slowly begin to take over the fight and will not have to make any mistakes that could potentially harm him.
Teofimo is explosive. He came into the game. That's a part of that's his DNA, right? But if you don't learn how to control your DNA, you're just explosive. You just, you know. And so he's got to hone in on that, be precise against Shakur. And that's a 50-50 fight, man. Yeah. I would honestly say 60-40 for Shakur.
But this fight will not only be about skill, but also about legacy. A victory for Teofimo over Shakur Stevenson will be a life-changing event for Teofimo, and one that will elevate him to legendary status, which will be the beginning of a long journey towards immortality. Therefore, Teofimo will be working hard to train for this fight to achieve his goals.
Unbelievable, my man.
However, professional boxers are already stating that Lopez and Stevenson represent a very equal level of competition. It is exactly a 50-50 fight. Keith Cullen, a professional boxer who has sparred with Stevenson, believes that this fight will be close and very hard-hitting for both athletes.
Like 16, it's been a little while, and you know, I'm sure he's a total different fighter, but I have recently seen Teofimo spar, you know, like a couple years back. He sparred one of the guys from my gym, and you know, I think it's safe to say that it's gonna be a competitive fight. You know, like it's definitely gonna be a competitive fight. Shakur gonna be on his game, Teo gonna be on his game. Shakur gonna get his hits off, Teo gonna get his hits off.
According to Lonnie B, the intensity will increase for both fighters, and there is no margin for error on this fight. One mistake or misstep on either part will change the course of this bout drastically. He advised Teofimo to go all out with his power and aggression, and told Shakur to keep himself flawless on the defensive side, because if Lopez lands one good shot on Shakur, it could turn the tide of the fight completely.
And we've seen Teo athleticism, you know, work against him sometimes. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, with Shakur, it's going to have to be on point. Same thing with Shakur. His textbook skills have to be on point. On point, because Teo got them bombs where he can crack. And, you know, we can't afford, he can't get hit with shots that he got hit with by Zepeda from Teo.
Clarissa Shields added to the hype by describing a fight with different styles. Shields believes that Shakur will have the edge due to his experience, ability to adjust and read the opponent, and make mid-fight adjustments. While Teofimo's punching power makes him dangerous, Shields believes that if Teofimo only uses that power, then he will leave himself vulnerable to Shakur's tactical versatility. This fight is much more than just a battle of brute strength. It's like playing chess at full speed.
You gotta experience a fighter like Shakur to be able to beat a fighter like Shakur, and I think it's not many Shakurs around, to be honest with you. Like, it's not many Buds, it's not many Curtis Shields. Like, you have to actually experience it. So I think that Shakur has a lot of experience, and Teo has experience too, but he hasn't. I think you look at their opponents, I think Shakur has way better and tougher opponents, even though he went against Kim Boses, I believe Teo did, but those are super hard fights to do, and I think that Shakur would have made equal work of Kim Boses.
Shakur Stevenson is intensely training to be ready for Teofimo Lopez, with a focus on elite conditioning, tireless footwork, and razor-sharp defensive skills that he uses to make his opponents miss while paying for it. Pad work is crisp and quick with cleanly thrown combinations, while movement has shown mastery over distancing and timing. Shakur's calmness, combined with deadliness while preparing for countering Teofimo's explosiveness, will allow him to nullify Teofimo's power with precise angles.
Money on your head if you make a nigga nervous. The best. I promise you none of these niggas gonna beat me. None of them. I'm gonna make an example out of Teo. That's the only thing I love. I promise they got me f***ed up.
Training the long hours in the gym, exhaustive sparring, and obsessively paying attention to the smallest details indicate that Shakur's training is geared towards total dominance, not merely survival.
Now what you doing? Touch the body. Nice. Nice. Two.
This camp footage serves as the blaring alarm that Shakur is coming into this fight in peak shape and will dismantle Teofimo Lopez round by round, and once again demonstrate to the boxing world that he is currently among the most technically complete fighters.
Now what you doing? Touch the body. Nice. Nice. Two.
At this level, every move counts. Teofimo Lopez has been preparing for his upcoming fight with Shakur Stevenson in a very intense and demanding environment. Lopez's training has an extremely high sense of urgency due to how quickly he is working with speed, power, and intensity. There has been a heavy focus placed on explosive power drills, fast twitch training, and combinations of punching with great intensity to hit through Shakur's defenses in the fight. Every second matters in this high-stakes battle. The most important aspect of Lopez's training to this point is his mentality. He has the look of someone who is very hungry for success and very angry at Shakur, and also wants to show Shakur that he is better than him. Lopez's footwork has improved from the previous fight, and he is now being taught timing with an eye towards applying pressure at all times throughout the 12 rounds of the fight.
Got a nice spring. You got a good spring and good push. Good first step. I like where we are. And we still got a mud, baby.
His sparring has become much more intense, as his sparring partners will mimic Shakur's movement and defensive strategies in order to force Lopez into a position where he is forced to cut off the ring and strike at the appropriate time. Even though it looks like reckless training at times, Lopez is training for an organized and precise way to be violent. In order to be victorious, Teofimo must be aggressive and reckless, while making the fight chaotic. He is getting ready to bring heat very early and create pressure on Shakur throughout the entire fight, testing Shakur more than any other fighter has ever done before.
Ahí lo tienes, juega con él, prepárale la pinta, eso, prepárale la pinta. Ahí está. Eso, ahí está, la mismo movimiento y diferente golpe, el mismo movimiento y diferente golpe. Prepara, ahí está. Ahí está, bien, ahí, fuerte, vamos. Ahí, ahí.
Teofimo Lopez is going into training to give Shakur a warning. This camp is focused on eliminating Shakur's rhythm, establishing his own will over Shakur, and making Shakur go to a place he has yet to experience and survive in. Each time they work out together, the goal will be to create an intense amount of stress for Shakur, forcing him to make mistakes and breaking the mental control that he employs in the ring.
¿Quieres descansar? Mueve la cintura a los lados, te agachas, lo dejas corto, lo quitas.
There is just a short amount of time until the major boxing match between Shakur Stevenson and Teofimo Lopez happens. This fight has become a competition between two completely different styles and skill sets, with Shakur using precision and Teofimo using explosive power. Both fighters will need to find an answer as to who is going to come out on top, as one small mistake could result in defeat. In this battle of styles, will Shakur's elite defense and ring intelligence allow him to completely neutralize Teofimo Lopez? Will Teofimo's explosive power and relentless pressure be enough to break through Shakur's defense and stun everyone involved? What's your prediction for this matchup, and how do you think it will end? On the judges' scorecards, a late stoppage, or an early knockout? Comment below with your predictions. If you found this analysis helpful, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.